Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. If you're not a subscriber, now would be an excellent time to become one for the low, low price of free. That's all you gotta do is click a button. Today we're gonna talk about Living, and it's currently on Netflix, and it does not have audio description because I'm sure somebody tried to audio describe this movie and they fell asleep. So, I'm sure there's like existing audio description that just like trails off like halfway through, and they're like, "Look, we can't upload that." I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay awake. Um, yeah, I'm gonna talk about this film, but I can't grade it because I fell asleep and I didn't actually see the totality of this film. Um, so yes, it is incredibly dull and incredibly boring. And without audio description, as a blind person, it is even more so. Because these meditative shots, which I'm sure the DP was having so much fun with this, because it's so quiet. It is so quiet in some points. Sometimes people are talking and they're using their indoor voices in the best way possible. And it's just like this. And it's very relaxing. It is a very relaxing film. If you need something to fall asleep to, I'm not saying this film is bad, but I am saying this film is cinematic Ambien. Uh, it is. It doesn't get loud. It scores classical music, which was beautiful. It was beautiful classical music. Nobody really raises their voice. There's nobody who just starts screaming out of nowhere. It did never wake me up. It was, it's very flat. It's very, just right there. It's just, and then didn't have audio description, so I didn't really fully understand. And there are so many scenes where nobody's talking, and I feel like I could have gotten at least somebody talking that would have kept me engaged on some level as much as possible. But without the audio description, this was the equivalent of cinematic Ambien. Um, and if you're tired at all going into this, it's just like, oh my God. I'm not even really sure how long it was. It felt forever. Um, but that's what happens when you kind of sleep your way through a movie. I did see like most of it, but I kind of fell asleep sort of somewhere in the middle, then woke up and then came back to it. So it appears to be about a guy. Um, I don't know how big of a spoiler this is, but he does reveal it in the movie, and it wasn't like at the dead end of the movie. Bill Nye is a guy who's obviously old because he's Bill Nye, and he's dying, and he feels like he hasn't quite lived. Like, he doesn't really know what living is if you don't get the title. Um, and there's a moment in the film where he looks at this girl who's like, I guess, the supporting character of the film that it's hard for me to follow everything without the audio description anyway. Even for the parts I was awake, I was like, who is this? Who are these people? Because I think there are a bunch of people in here. Even Bill Nye did a really good job of disguising his voice. It wasn't a typical Bill Nye accent, which threw me because it took me a minute to realize, is that Bill Nye? Like, I was waiting for his voice. But for everybody else, I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. And I'm trying to pull their voices and trying to remember which character's which without audio description was maddening. So there's a younger character, I'm gonna say younger than Bill Nye, who apparently is, a little bit more fun and fancy free. And he looks at her and wishes that if just one day he could live like her, he thinks that would be truly living. You know, basically that's the film. I can't really put this word. I can't fully describe this film. A, because I fell asleep, and B, it has no audio description, so I don't even know I fully processed the film. I will say that I think in terms of what Bill Nye typically does. This is a very atypical performance for him. So I understand why there was attention being drawn to it. It didn't feel like a normal Bill Nye performance. It felt very restrained. And I know Bill Nye, he's been great in comedies, and he also does some really good work in drama, and even in horror. I mean, we forget he was in the Underworld franchise. So it just pops up, and he's like, what do you need me to do, boss? And in this film, he just kind of dials it way back. And it's very just sort of respectful and calm, and you might fall asleep. But yeah, I feel like the people on Letterboxd would watch me doing this review and be like, I hate you. I gave this a 5 on Letterboxd. I'm from Film Twitter, and this was my favorite film of last year. It's like, okay. I mean, that's valid. I enjoy films that are like this, and I'm not saying that I couldn't have enjoyed this film, but the lack of audio description was definitely hampering my ability to A, stay awake, and B, understand what the fuck was going on. So with that given, I have to review films as I'm given them. So if a film chooses to not be audio described, that's its choice. That's its distributor's choice. This film I saw this film released VOD. It didn't have audio description then. I've not known this film to have audio description, ever. So if that's the choice you want to make, then that's how I have to review your film. If you want to make it accessible to blind people, fine, make it accessible to blind people. But unfortunately, my experience as a blind film critic was not great with this film. However, I don't grade films that I did not see in their totality. Unless it was just so offensively bad that I walked out. Like, unless it was already, like, at an F grade and I was having to, like, consider, do I give this a G? Like, H? What's the next letter in the alphabet? Where are we going? Maybe in that situation I'd be like, I was an hour and a half in, and there was no digging itself out of this hole. So I don't think that's this. I don't think this is a F film. I have a feeling it's probably not a D film. I'm not even sure it's a C film, to be totally honest. I just need audio description to help me follow what's going on and follow the characters and stuff. So I'd be willing to give it a second look, but it does have a beautiful either score or collection of music that they've assembled for the film. I don't know how much of it is original or not, but it is lovely to listen to, which also makes it really easy to fall asleep to. It's the quietest film you may watch ever, except like a silent film that also would need to have like a really silent soundtrack. Yeah, so this is normally where I would talk about audio description and then grade it. There's no audio description, and I'm not grading it because I fell asleep, and I'm owning that. But maybe that's a referendum on the film that I fell asleep. And I don't usually, if you've watched my reviews, I don't know if you watch any of them, but if you watch my reviews, you'll notice that I've not done this before. But I did want to get something out there about Living, to talk about the fact that it doesn't have audio description. It needs audio description. And Netflix can do with that as they see fit. So if anybody cares about this film, they'll put audio description on it. If they don't care about it, and we're just supposed to forget about this film and just be like, yeah, whatever. Bill Nye got an Oscar nomination. Who cares? We're moving on. Then that's that. But beware. Do not watch this when you're slightly tired. It will not wake you up. This is not a film that will energize you under any circumstances, even with audio description. This is not a film that's going to suddenly just wow you into submission. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And yeah, we'll see if this gets audio description. I know they added. I haven't re-reviewed it, but I know that like months after I reviewed Emily the Criminal on Netflix, they added audio description to it. I was like, thanks, because people don't like watching things when they debut. They like waiting forever to see if they get audio description. It just kind of misses the boat. So that's it. I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at macmovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org. It'll let you know, who's narrating films that actually have narration. So not this. That's it for me today, and I will be reviewing something else. See you guys on the other side.